Our first automated video looked finished. It had 8 scenes, a synthesized voice, subtitles, and a 7-minute 36-second runtime. Then we watched it. Every image stayed on screen for the same length. The narration moved on, but the visuals did not. At the worst moments, an image arrived roughly 11 seconds away from the sentence it was supposed to explain. That is the uncomfortable truth behind the phrase fully automated. A machine can complete every visible step and still fail at the one thing viewers actually experience, whether words, pictures, and ideas arrive together. This video was made by a machine, until coherence required somebody to stop it, inspect it, and repair it. The useful model is not a magic button, it is an assembly line with permissions. In this channel, a video moves through fixed states: queued, planned, scripted, media ready, rendered, uploaded private, approved, and published. That order matters because the scheduler is structurally allowed to go only as far as private upload. It cannot approve. It cannot publish. Those are not decorative safeguards added after the creative work. They are part of the creative work. A private upload is where a generated result becomes a reviewable object, rather than an assumption that a successful render deserves a public audience. Automation gets the project to the gate. A person decides whether it crosses it. Here is what made by a machine means in practical terms. A script is divided into scenes. Each scene receives its own purpose-written image prompt and one separately generated still, rather than borrowing a pile of vaguely related stock images. Narration is synthesized with character-level timing. That timing can drive subtitle cues and scene durations, so the edit is based on when speech occurs, not on a rough estimate. Then the images, audio, and timing data are rendered into a video with FFmpeg. This is a chain of handoffs, not one intelligent act. Its strength is repeatability. A sentence can receive a visual designed for its point. Its weakness is equally clear. When one handoff misunderstands the text, every downstream decision can be wrong with impressive efficiency. The first failure exposed the weakest link: text matching. We initially tried to find each original paragraph inside the speech alignment returned by the narration provider, but the provider normalized the text. Blank lines were collapsed, digits were spoken as words. The paragraphs we submitted no longer appeared verbatim in the aligned transcript. The matching code failed, and its fallback assigned every scene exactly the same duration. Notice what did not fail. The voice existed, the timestamps existed, and the render existed. The interpretation between them failed. A timestamp API does not remove editorial ambiguity. It simply concentrates that ambiguity in the rules that decide which spoken words belong to which scene. That is why a pipeline needs visible failure states, not silent defaults that make a broken video look complete. The repair was modest, but the principle is larger. Instead of demanding an exact paragraph match, the system identified a scene through its opening run of letter-only words. That gave it a stable enough anchor, despite formatting changes and digits being read aloud. We re-rendered the video without making another page generation call. The lesson is not that this particular matching method solves every possible script. It fixed this run. The deeper rule is to preserve intermediate assets, prompts, images, audio, alignment data, and render settings. When those artifacts remain available, a defect is something you can inspect and rerun. When they are discarded, every correction becomes another expensive act of generation, and the production system starts rewarding people for overlooking errors. Guardrails also need to govern money and originality. In this pipeline, paid model calls are disabled by default. Before a call is made, a ledger reserves its cost and refuses the run if a per-run or daily limit would be crossed. That does not make the output accurate, original, or good. It prevents a technical loop from quietly becoming a spending loop. Separately, an originality gate blocks a run when the script is too short, too similar to prior work, missing a stated creator perspective, or paired with repetitive image prompts. Again, this is not an originality certificate. It is an editorial constraint. The system is required to show more than a generic template before it is allowed to consume resources and produce another video. The human checkpoint is intentionally inconvenient. Approval requires 4 separate confirmations and a written reviewer note. Publication then requires the human to type the internal video ID a second time. That friction is the point. If a system can publish without forcing someone to identify the exact video again and state why it is ready, it is optimized for throughput, not accountability. The reviewer is not there to pretend every frame was handmade. The reviewer is there to own the decision that this particular assembled claim, visual, voice, and context should become public. In a faceless operation, that responsibility cannot be delegated to the absence of a face. It has to be designed into the workflow. Now separate that production discipline from YouTube's disclosure test. YouTube's supplied guidance does not treat all AI assistants as something that must be disclosed. AI help with scripts, outlines, thumbnails, and captions as production assistance. Clearly, unrealistic animation and fantasy are also outside that requirement. Even cloning your own voice is listed as exempt. The disclosure boundary is realistic, altered, or synthetic material that viewers could easily mistake for a real person, place, scene, or event. A synthetic voice of a real person, a replaced face, or altered footage of a real event or location sits on the disclosure side. So do not ask only, "Did AI touch this?" Ask, "Could this depiction be mistaken for reality?" That is the decision boundary that matters. Labels are part of the edit, not an afterthought. The supplied guidance says disclosures generally appear in the expanded description, while photorealistic content can receive a label on the video player. Health, news, elections, and finance may receive more prominent on-video treatment. Before publishing, use 3 questions. Is this intended to look real? Could a viewer mistake it for a real person, place, scene, or event? And is the context especially consequential? If the answer points toward disclosure, handle it before the upload becomes public. Return to our repaired timeline. The machine generated assets, timed speech, and rendered a file, but the channel standards came from people. The perspective they chose, the limits they imposed, the defect they caught, and the responsibility they accepted at the final gate. That is the version of automation worth building.